Okay, this would be Respironics V60 BiPAP machine, and this is going to be a several part video. What we're going to go over today is setting it up and putting it on a basic BiPAP patient. So we have it plugged into the wall. It does have a battery. It can be used to transport on the same settings. Has 2 tanks, which should be off unless you're traveling. You're going to put your oxygen right here. So your oxygen goes into the wall just like that. Now, turn it on. The other thing you're going to need is a circuit. We're going to put this to standby. That way it won't. So you get a circuit out. The BiPAP circuit is a 1-tube circuit. It's got a HEPA filter at one end. So that gets put right there like that. Then there is tubing right there. That little piece of tubing goes right there, if you can see that. Then that's all hooked up. This right here is the exhalation port. You can put a HEPA filter on that, but you really want to be careful not to occlude that, because if you do, you're going to make your patient CO2 rise incredibly fast because he'll be rebreathing. Then we're getting a new different type of mask that's coming, but for the moment we have these. This is the small, this is the large. Our person here is probably going to be a small, because you want it to go, you want it to go over. There we go. Then it works better if you have somebody with you that can help hold the patient, because this goes on their chin just like that, and this goes on the brow, and then that slips over their head. So we're going to pretend somebody's over there holding that for us. And like I said, we only had small and then these hook up on the side. And yeah, little dude's going to be kind of difficult. So it would go like that. And then it would click into the side there, holding that mask like that. Now, if you can see right there, there is a 2 right there on the swivel piece. But on the mask itself, there is also a 2 on the package. That's the air leak setting. Now, once you get your... So that would be how it would go on the patient. Now to set it up. This is waiting for it to trigger, so we're just going to tell it to breathe. Now, we go here to menu, or to modes rather. ST is what we're going to do for BiPAP. That's what it should be set at. And your basic and let's see. So your EPAP, and of course it's making squeaky noises because it's on a dummy and it's not quite fitting. But right there, you're getting nice waveforms. It's what they should look like. But your IPAP is going to be 10. So IPAP stands for inspiratory peak airway pressure. E is expiratory peak airway pressure. These two combined give you kind of a pressure support. BiPAP is pressure support, inspiratory wise and expiratory wise. And then you just, your O2, we'll put it at 45. And there, that's all there is to it. Then activate ST mode, and it's going to do its thing. Now, if you were having a patient that's really not ventilating very well, you may very well go up on your pressure support, because this is our starting values. But if they're like really bad and are struggling and are breathing 50 times a minute, SATs are really bad, you might go up to 16 and maybe 8, and depending, we might put, usually if they're in you want to get their SAT, you don't want 100% oxygen, but it's okay to start it up there. Leave rise alone and leave the I time alone. So the only thing you're going to do is the IPAP and the EPAP together, and that would be BiPAP. Now, IPAP of 16 is getting to be somebody that's pretty sick, and you can go up to 10 there. Like I said, go up to 18. This you would kind of go slowly and adjust for taking your patient, and you'd also want them an end-tidal CO2 monitor while you're doing all this, so that you can watch trends over time. You want, if they're sick and they need to be on one of these, not so much for just straight up BiPAP, but it is good practice to have a ABG to start with, so that you kind of know where you're at. And that is that. That is not a suction port. That is the expiratory port, as I pointed out. Oh, and then auto reset. You can alarm reset, and that gets rid of all your alarms. And we're going to go to standby. There we go. We'll put it in, we're going to turn it off. So in order to turn it off, you see that little thing right there? You hold that in, and ventilator shut down. And then that's all there is to hooking them up to regular BiPAP. I've also gone ahead and gotten the real pocket guide for this. It has a lot of different it goes over the different functions quite thoroughly, and that's going to be hanging off of the back of the ventilator here. Make sure when you're done you clean it. Oxygen tanks need to be off at the valve unless we're using it as a transport, and check to make sure that they're full when you go get it to use. When you're done, you pull the circuit off here, and you pull the circuit off here, and those get lost. And then you would clean this up with a gray sandy wipe, gray sandy wipe, gray sandy wipe, gray sandy wipe, and gray sandy wipe, the whole thing. And then put the plastic back on it and put it back in the old pharmacy.